Hey guys, it's Lumen, and today I am back with the flagship team from Sin Dragons and Key Heroes, the Shizuru team. Now, there are a couple different ways to build it. Even if it doesn't seem like it, there are definitely different ways to build it, but I've decided to go with the very template style, full Key Hero setup. So yeah, without further ado, let's just dig in. We'll talk about the team, we'll talk about each component and each equip, and then we'll talk about how I feel and stuff like that. So first things first, let's start with Shizuru. Shizuru is I actually don't remember her cooldown for transforming, but she's a transform lead, right? And the big thing is that while she does come with 0 skill boost, she is a 20 turn transform. The thing is, when she does transform, she's a 3-turn cooldown, like kind of looping orb generation system, right? So the fact that you want 3 copies means that there's like a very heavy skill boost burden on your team, because you're gonna have 3 slots on your team out of 6 taken up that provide 0 skill boost but need 20. Yeah, it's a bit tough, but because we have equips, it's not actually that bad, right? With skill boost inflation just going up and up, there are plenty of equips with multiple skill boosts, so it's actually a lot easier to construct a team that transforms immediately than before. Shizuru, once transformed, has a 3-turn cooldown active that creates a full tricolor board of light, dark, and heal, and then has a conditional effect where if Enhanced Orb Skyfall is active, Shizuru will gain a 70 billion uncap and void Fujin and color absorb for 1 turn. So for multiple reasons, you want to bring along 3 copies, not just to loop the orb generation to consistently activate the leader skill, but also because then with 3 of them and then the conditional Enhanced Orb Skyfall, you can then also void Fujin and color absorbs forever, pretty much, right? So Shizuru is incredibly strong. 70 billion uncapped, especially with 3 pings, is not to be underestimated. That's 210 billion damage pretty much every turn, right? Of course, if the effect lasted longer, it would be absolutely insane. But unfortunately, it only lasts for 1 turn. That being said, each Shizuru will take time in the spotlight and dish out 210 billion. So yeah, actually really crazy. Just a great backbone for any team. Leader skill wise, we're gonna jump into the leader skill because Shizuru, it's not like a orb generation system that you kind of have to sub. Shizuru also works as a lead, and her leader skill provides 82% damage reduction, 2x recovery, 100x attack, 15 million autofill, basically all of the bells and whistles that modern leaders want nowadays. I will say that 100x attack is a bit low, and matching L's is not the most efficient damage awakening nowadays. However, one of the benefits about matching L's is that you kind of deal with assist voids a lot easier than any other team, simply because everyone has an L. You can just throw on 1 or even 2 assist void latents, and then you're pretty much good to go, right? Another great thing about Shizuru's leader skill is that her shield is not actually tied to the awakening activation. It's only tied to matching light and dark, which is doable on pretty much any given floor. And yeah, I mean, it has to be doable because you make a board every single turn that guarantees light and dark. So Shizuru is actually pretty good at stalling, and this will be a huge benefit because unfortunately the stalling is needed for some things, right? There are some points where an active runs out, or you need a timing is not correct and you need to stall to make sure everything lines up properly. And it'll make more sense once we describe the other subs on this team, and then the equips are mostly there to, help the subs, but we'll talk about the subs first and you'll see why this stalling ability is necessary. So Shizuru, to activate her conditional effect, you need Enhanced Orb Skyfall. The sub of choice here is Iroha. Iroha is the MP unit for the machine, and I mean, I think you guys have already caught on, but GungHo loves to just design the perfect solution for a certain lead or a certain meta team, and Iroha is here because she not only provides that Enhanced Orb Skyfall for 10 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. That's actually really important because the fact that it lasts so much longer than the active cooldown means that you can use the active more flexibly for its other effects without having to worry about re-upping the Enhanced Orb Skyfall every 5 turns, right? So definitely opens up a lot of flexibility in the timing. Iroha also provides an Awoken Bind Clear, very, very valuable, right? Especially with these leads that have Awakening activation based clauses. You really need to make sure to have an Awoken Bind Clear, because those things just, not only do they screw over all your Awakenings, which is already a huge detriment in and of itself, but then if you can't activate your leader skill, usually you die. Now Shizuru is kind of an exception to that. You don't need to activate the L in order to get a shield, but it's still kind of a death sentence because this team does rely on other awakenings that provide a lot of bulk, such as Part Break and Assist Resonance, right? So Iroha is great for that, the Enhanced Orb Skyfall and then the Woken Mind Clear. And then on top of all that, Iroha also provides a big 75% damage reduction shield for 1 turn. This is incredibly valuable because there are some spawns in dungeons nowadays that simply just hit you really hard. And what they like to do is they like to telegraph that big hit. They'll give you a big fat red enraged symbol. And then you know, oh shoot, I'm going to die if I don't protect myself. So then Iroha's shield can also come in handy for that. So yeah, Iroha is pretty much a perfect sub for Shizuru. It fits a lot of the things that she needs, and then not only does it provide the necessary utility of Enhanced Orb Skyfall, but it also provides a lot of additional valuable utility as well. The other 2 subs are Burgle and Gillian. They both got new evolutions, and those new evolutions were tailor-made for Shizuru. Burgle mostly tailor-made, Gillian less so, but still very good for this team. Burgle is the Void Pierce for this team. Shizuru covers Fujin and Color Absorb, so Burgle then takes on the role of Void Pierce. He's a 4-turn cooldown, 2-turn Void Pierce, changes the board, and also gains a 35 billion uncap for 2 turns. Now the board change is a little bit unnecessary for sure, since Shizuru always does it every single turn, but you know, it's not, I mean, it's just part of the unit, right? Like, I guess it's a redundancy. It's what else can I say? And Burgle, he's used mostly for the Void Pierce, and then the uncap is definitely very, very nice for sure. He also has like perfectly fitting awakenings. He has like 4 10C and 2 Ls, or 2 L pluses, so like it really does fit in with what Shizuru is trying to do. Last but not least, I mentioned before, but we have Dark Gillian. Gillian is, so Iroha only does Awoken Bind Clear, which means that it does not clear unmatchables, which can be a problem because Shizuru needs to match light and dark for sure, and then you ideally want to match heals as well, right? So Gillian clears unmatchables on a 4-turn cooldown. He uncaps himself to 22 billion for 8 turns. This is the same as Iroha doing an Enhanced Orb Skyfall for 10 turns. It gives you a lot of flexibility with the active. You don't need to reuse it every time it's back up because you have to, you know, reapply the looping effect. Instead, the effect goes way longer than the cooldown, so you can use it for its other abilities, right? Or rather, its other effects. Gillian, so he has the matchable clear. He has a 22 billion uncap for 8 turns, and then he also provides a 3x HP and recovery buff for 1 turn. This is effectively like Iroha's shield. It makes you very, very bulky, very tanky, allows you to, you know, take on those big bad hits from, you know, disgusting enrages. Yeah, it's great for that. The recovery is nice, not only because it clears recovery debuffs, but it also allows you to make sure you can heal enough for when you have the 3x HP, right? Because like, let's say you have like a 3x HP buff, but no additional recovery. Yes, your HP might go really high, but if you can't recover enough to fill that up, it doesn't even matter how high your HP is, or how high your max HP is, if your current HP is just going to stay the same as it was before, right? So yeah, that's the power of Gillian. Of course, with this team, it does have extra recovery in the leader skill, so maybe the extra recovery wasn't necessary, but it's definitely a nice touch for sure. Overall, this team is pretty good. Very, very tanky. I noticed it has a really good recovery. Like, you can just match like 1 or maybe 2 heal combos or heal TPA. You'll just heal right back to full. The healing is great. And the tankiness is also very nice too, although I will say it is pretty reliant on assist resonance. Every single unit on this team has assist resonance, and every single unit has the assist resonance activated. So pretty much this entire team also has 3x HP, which feels incredible, right? Not only does everyone have 3x HP, but also 3x attack and 3x recovery, so it's really, really nice. The only problem with Assist Resonance is that when you get not only Awoken Bound, although Awoken Binds are just deadly in general, but if you get Assist Voided, it really just destroys all your stats. And luckily this team is L based, so normally you can clear out the assist voids very quickly, but it is still extremely dangerous and you have to be very, very careful. However, the team is actually pretty well equipped to deal with it, because if you know an assist void is coming with a preemptive that you cannot handle, you have not only a shield from Iroha that will help you tank it, but you also have a 3x HP buff that will also help you tank that as well. So for those reasons, it's like not too bad, but it is definitely something to keep an eye out for. That's the saying, right? Keep an eye out for. The other problem with the team is simply the playstyle. Like, I'm playing this team and I do a few test runs here and there, and honestly the team is so bulky and, you know, it's very tanky, it deals out a good amount of damage. It's totally fine, but like, I just mess up an L or I mess up here and there, and it's just kind of frustrating to play because you have to match L's on a 7x6 board. And unfortunately, like, you can't just match one L and then let that do all the damage. You have to match an L of each color, and then ideally you want to match all your other combos as L's too, because frankly the team just doesn't do enough damage if you're not matching as many L's as you possibly can. Gillian and Burgle in particular, and Iroha to an extent as well, they all need levitate equips because they just don't do enough damage without it. And it's pretty frustrating to deal with that because, yeah, I don't know, like, the fact that you need assist resonance levitate equips can be very painful. I think Gillian in particular, not Gillian, sorry, Dark Burgle in particular needs attacker only dark assist resonance equip. And if you attach and levitate to that, I believe there's only one, and it's from Haikyuu, which is really, really frustrating to deal with. Luckily I have it, so I guess I'm very lucky with that, but you know, if you're building around that, like, you might not be able to gain that 3x stats, or you have to use subpar equips because, yeah, Burgle just won't deal enough damage, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely frustrating for sure. A couple other things is that the team doesn't really do too well with 5x4 boards, right? Very small boards. It really has a problem matching L's and enough combos. Shizuru only provides 3 combos when you match an L, so it's 6 combos because you have 2 Shizurus leading. So you have to match 4 combos, but if you're trying to match 2 L's in there, like, it's not like too terrible, but it also gets really cramped and awkward. So it's definitely not the most fun for sure. The team, I wouldn't say has damage problems, but it's definitely not the highest damage either. The problem is that you're committing 3 subs to do 210 billion a turn, so that's 70 billion on average across the 3. It's fine, but if you look at other teams, for example, we're just gonna compare it to Reinhardt. Reinhardt's just gonna be like the apex, right? He's like the All Might of MHA. You know, he's just better than everyone else. Reinhardt can do 75 billion damage a turn, and it's across 2 slots, right? So yes, I know the comparison is accurate because the total damage Shizuru does more, but the fact that Reinhardt can commit less slots to dealing more average damage is pretty big, because then you have other slots that can do more damage, right? In my title run, and even in, like, you know, the farming builds with Reinhardt, like, the idea is that you run subs that can uncap when needed to deal the damage that you need. For example, against floor 3, the Devils, I pop Felt and I pop Regulus, and then you do a tremendous amount of damage to one-shot the floor. It saves time. And then you don't lose any time on the other floors because you just speed right through them because Reinhardt does enough damage, right? Reinhardt can also, you can also, for example, run 3 Reinhardts and then use the third one as a flex to just simply uncap for 150 billion damage whenever you feel like it. It's very, very nice. And the fact that Reinhardt only needs 2 copies to, you know, fulfill the orb generation and the uncaps and everything gives them way more flexibility than something like Shizuru, which needs to dedicate 3 slots. Now, Shizuru is great because those 3 slots also pierce, or not, rather not pierce, but it voids Fujin and color absorb shields, but you know, at the same time, like, it's a lot of commitment for sure. So yeah, that's my take on the Shizuru team. There are definitely replacements for these things. Like, I know Burgle and Gillian. Maybe Gillian is like people have, but I know Burgle, definitely one of the newer key heroes. Maybe people don't have him. There are replacements for sure. For example, I was looking around and you have Iroha, which you kind of do need for this team. I mean, there are replacements for Iroha as well, but Iroha, she's definitely the best, right? For Gillian, I was actually looking. I think Valentine's Alina is actually a great replacement. It provides a shield, and then on matches as well, it's definitely on a much shorter, or no, sorry, much shorter. It's definitely on a much longer cooldown. But that being said, like, a lot of people may have had her. She's been around for a long time, and that new form definitely fits really, really well, especially because that new form has a lot of L's too. It's one of the reasons why she was initially used on Reinhardt, because those L's were very necessary to run Assist Void for Reinhardt, and it felt very, very nice, right? Um, some other options I was looking at, there's like a Void option that was really nice for sure. I think it was from Digimon. I need to look at the name. I believe his name was Shakomon, right? He's really, really nice. He does a lot of damage. He is bindable, which is a bit frustrating, but he Void Pierces for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown instead of a 4-turn cooldown, which is really, really nice. The difference, of course, is that Burgle uncaps himself to 35 billion, which is a lot, while Shakuman doesn't do anything like that. Shakuman also brings along 2x attack for light attribute, 2x recovery, and 2x move time, which isn't necessary. And then brings along a spinner, which can definitely be handy if you have like some annoying spinners floating around, or you need to clear a recovery debuff, something like that, right? Especially if, you know, you're replacing Gillian with, like, for example, the Shakuman guy. You can kind of flip the utility from the actives across the 2 subs. So yeah, there's definitely replacements to look for. Shizuru is very, very flexible in that sense. It's a bit inflexible because of the assist resonance. Like, Shizuru herself is only balance type and light, so you have to go with light attribute balance type equips. Not the most flexible thing in the world that I've ever heard, but you know, you just gotta look for those. And the fact that you only have 3 sub slots is also kind of a pain because you want to run 3 Shizurus, but within that spectrum, it is pretty flexible. Shizuru also gains a bonus in the team building flexibility because in her pre-transform, she has a 1.3x part break multiplier. I'm really a big fan of part break. You know, if you're going to run these endgame dungeons, you want to try to pick up all the parts, right? So having that 1.3x part break, which means you get to 1.69, with that multiplier, you only need 5 part breaks to start guaranteeing drops, right, from the parts. Very, very nice. So Shizuru gains a plus for that. One thing that's interesting about Shizuru, when you play this team, especially in this dungeon, you do have to be a little bit careful, mainly because the Enhanced Orb Skyfall, if it gets voided or if it runs out, you really do nothing, so you need to make sure that's up. And then you also have to be very careful because you want to make sure you have that ready for the boss, right? In particular, the boss casts a negative 45% OE Skyfall, right? Or 45% negative OE Skyfall is the better way to say it. That actually overrides your plus Enhanced Orb Skyfall, right? From Iroha. So then you had to, I think in this run I didn't even bother, I had to stall out on the boss for a little bit. But the idea is that you need to make sure that you have it ready to overwrite because the boss's debuff will overwrite your buff. And that buff is needed to activate Shizuru's conditional effects. So yeah, gotta be careful for that. Luckily, the one thing I was worried about that didn't happen is that the Enhanced Orb Skyfall does not get overwritten by regular Orb Enhanced Skyfalls, right? So for example, if I want more Dark Skyfall, or if I want more Water Orb Skyfall, or in this dungeon there's a spawn that gives more Heal Orb Skyfall, that doesn't interact with Enhanced Orb Skyfalls. I wasn't really sure on the interaction, but it doesn't. So the only one you have to really be careful about, you know, I'm saying that because you do have to really be careful about it, is the boss, right? And when I mean the boss, I mean like the second phase of the boss on Sundorme, floor 15. Once he transforms, once you kill the first phase, and then he kind of transforms into Sundorme, then the debuff is applied, and you need to just be very careful, right? Because not only do you get negative OE Skyfall, but you also don't get the enhanced Skyfall that you're probably used to while running the dungeon. And Orb Enhance is like, it's like a very, it's like a stealthy buff. It really, really does help your team's damage and recovery. It's just, you don't really see it because it's just attached to the orb as like very minor multipliers, right? So yeah, for that reason, I mean, just gotta be careful. I am not really a fan of dealing with like managing these Skyfall buffs and stuff, especially because, you know, I was talking about the boss as well, but the other spawn you do need to be very, very careful against is Sophie, the Invade. Sophie, she's guaranteed to invade on floor 5, or if you don't see her on floor 5, then absolutely guaranteed to invade on floor 6. Sophie has a buff Dispel, which does clear out your enhanced OE Skyfall. So you do have to be very careful for that spawn as well. And she actually does quite a bit of damage, so you know, you gotta get ready to tank, right? Just gotta make sure you don't die. Yeah. One other thing that's super nice, I didn't talk about it, but Burgle, not only does he do a 2-turn Void Pierce, right, or VDP, and a 35 billion uncap and a board change, he also breaks 2 shields. I forgot to mention that part. And that's what makes Burgle really shine, is because in this dungeon there are some shields. There are some spawns that have 2 shields or more. And having a double shield break feels amazing because you crack 2 of them at once. The spawns I'm referring to are floor 10's Aura Meredith, which spawn in right away with 2 shields. Burgle can just blast both of them at once. And then on the Raw Dragon, Dark Raw Dragon, all the speedrun setups with like Reinhardt and stuff try to burst Raw Dragon in one go. The main reason is because if you don't kill him in one go, he either spawns 3 or 5 shields. I don't know the conditions exactly. Normally it's 3 because you should be running a team that can make him only do 3, but if you do nothing or like you fail to meet a certain condition, then he spawns 5 shields, right? And 3 or 5, having a double shield break just cuts down on the amount of turns you spend cracking those shields, so it does feel fantastic to have Burgle on the team for that reason. So yeah, that's the team. I think it is very nice. Like, GungHo definitely constructed a very nice and workable team for endgame. I just don't like it too much because the way you have to play it with the L's and stuff, it's super frustrating in a way, right? Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like playing with L's. I've hated them ever since I played Ryume when Mystics and Spectres first debuted. So, you know, my hatred still continues, but for the sake of content, I'm playing the team because it's new and shiny and very exciting. So yeah, with that, I'll cut it short. Normally I like to yap and stuff, but I think I've kind of covered the team mostly. If you have any questions or comments or anything, as usual, just put it down in the comment section below. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the team. If you have any suggestions for the next team, I do anticipate Freerin. When I post this video, Freerin's already gonna be here, or it's gonna come very, 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 very soon. So I will catch you guys then. The next video will probably all be Freerin teams, and we'll have a new endgame dungeon to tackle. Yeah, so this will probably be the last of this dungeon, Sun Title GA5. It's been pretty good to me. I love the drops and everything, and I don't think it's actually too terrible of a dungeon. It's just the stat checking. It gets more egregious by the day. So yeah, with that, I'll catch you not only with a new team, with a new collab and a new dungeon. Yeah, there's a lot of new things coming in the horizon. I'm very excited. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, you know, I was about to say like and subscribe. I don't know why. You don't have to do that. I appreciate it, but I'm not consistent enough. Whatever, man. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Good luck and have fun.